You are listening to the Kentucky X-Files with hosts Dennis Mays and Tyler Stewart. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube so you never miss an episode. Now, to our show.
Something that would be in the context of the supernatural.
He described it as being a gray, silver-looking, upright bipedal creature, dragging a deer out of that cave going up the hill.
Where he goes, hey, I got a question for you. He goes, do you believe in demons?
And it takes one big step and vanishes. I'm like, oh my God, that was a Bigfoot.
And look at these pictures of this white creature.
Something 7'3" to 8 foot tall.
Right.
And let's say it like.
And I'm telling you right now, if this was a bear, then this bear was standing on his hind legs, and he was running like a man. No, this wasn't no bear.
Now, when it stood up, that's when I knew it was a dogman.
Welcome back, guys, to the Kentucky X-Files. This is episode 20, and I feel like me and Denny here are pretty excited.
Oh, yeah.
For this. This was pretty cool. Like, he got in contact with the founder of the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization.
Yep, Mr. Charlie Raymond himself. So, the man needs no introduction. If you are into Bigfoot, especially if you're into Bigfoot in Kentucky, no doubt in my mind that you've come across this man's work, or maybe even in his big Facebook following. But this man, he's out there. I mean, he is out there. He's everywhere. Bigfoot can't hide from him. You can't hide from him. This man is the real deal. And we're going to get him on the phone in just a little bit. And I'm excited. I can't. I'm doing the. I'm fangirling a little bit. I can't help it. You know, this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, this is really good. Like, to actually pick the brain of somebody that's been out there for quite some time, searching for the big guy.
What was it? 30, almost 30 years, or over 30 years? I can't remember. It spans 3 decades.
Yeah,
3 decades. I've got like what? 6 months under my belt here, and my mind's blown. So what the hell has this guy seen in that much time doing this? Because that's we talked about this a while back. Shit, almost to the beginning we talked about this. Is okay, so when you get into something, anything, all right, if it's just a passing thing, do you spend years doing it? Just a whatever hobby, maybe? Do you dedicate decades to it if it's a hobby?
Yeah.
Or is it a passion?
Yeah, I get you.
That's the thing, is like, okay, is it a hobby, is it a passion, or is it your career? Is this what you do? This man takes people out on expeditions. He takes people to local places that are, from what I understand, if there's been a sighting there or any kind of activity, and he comes across this guy, he's there. And then, other researchers, he'll take them with him. He'll take you and show you, what you're not seeing out there. So I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to him, and definitely excited to see what's in the future, what's coming up. What don't we know? Is he willing to share it? And I know there's a lot of folks out there too that have a, I don't want to say a grudge bad, that's a terrible word to say, but more like a difference of opinion, I guess, with, the organizations that go, that go into this. And I know there's a lot of people that believe that, that the bigger organizations aren't willing to accept, opinions that don't line up with theirs. So that's something I'm interested in talking to him about and seeing what he actually thinks about it. And, is it something that he knows about? And if it is something that he knows about, is it something that he's trying to work on, or is it just kind of a, it is what it is? Is it a byproduct of just that many people, and that many ideas? So,
but the crappy thing is that everybody has quarrels with somebody and stuff. So
absolutely,
you never know. It could have been just something that one person said, and it just trickled. It's like a big bad version of telephone.
It's funny that you say that too, because we actually had that in regards to us. I had okay, so episode 19. Okay, we talked a little bit about a guy named Robert, who wrote in. He wrote in and he emailed. He was the one that couldn't be on the show because of the jaw thing. I don't even know if it was on this side. I don't know why I keep doing that, but so he did end up writing to Steve. Yeah, and Steve read his story, and the UV light thing got out there to a bunch of people, and I'm glad for that. Yeah. But someone actually called us out, saying that we were a part of the group that they don't approve of. Yeah, and I'm like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like, hey, hold on now. And the person said, I'm not going to drop a name, but maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe they mistaken identity or something. They said, but you're part of the Bigfoot, research organization. You're part of that, or something along the lines. And I'm like, no, really not. And I actually told her, I was like, look, and she literally said, we don't approve of that type of thinking, right? And I said, the only club that we're in is the club of being decent to people, and your approval is not needed. I mean, yeah, I feel like it was a case of mistaken identity, and I want to believe it was, but who knows, But yeah, we're not a part of any of those,
Yeah, we're not here to pull anybody's leg or anything. We give everything to you at face value. But with that being said, don't take it to heart. Don't take it with a grain of salt, because all we're doing is throwing out our theories, potential, and it's because we don't have a proven science at this. Yeah, that's why
there's no science book.
Because that's the reason why. Denny compiled his observation on the whole. He doesn't believe that he believes that they're sensitive to light. So that's why that he handed that olive branch and told that guy, get some UV lights. He was like, we haven't tested it out ourselves, but maybe this could help that guy.
He was asking for some kind of solution.
Yeah, kind of solution.
I said, well, I think they're sensitive to light. Yeah. Maybe try this. But I made sure to tell him that these are theories. I'm basing my theory on observation, and I'm basing my theory on listening to encounters. I'm listening to you've seen me. I've listened to multiple 10s and 20, 30 encounters a day. I'll listen to them, and I pick out details, and I find stuff that stands out to me, and I do my very best to try to put together something that is feasible. So I told him, I was like, hey, if you want to try this, but make sure you buy extra bulbs. Yeah. And I guess I should have I should have told him that my suspicion was that these are probably going to piss it off, and it's going to break your bulbs unless you put them up just ridiculous high. But I don't think if they're up that high, I just didn't think they'd be as effective. I think being right there in front of what you're trying to protect was, hopefully going to do the trick. And then when he wrote back and said that, holy shit, yeah. And I'm literally sitting there right there with him, like, holy shit,
it actually worked.
That worked. Wow. I suspected. I didn't. There's no science book, so I didn't know. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm an authority.
And that's another thing too. On top of it, What if this was like, we all have heard that there's different types of Sasquatch out there.
Yeah.
So this could be a one-off.
Sure. Yeah.
Like we're not saying that UV lights is the thing, but it's something where we can go off of, because this guy actually had an encounter with this thing stealing his chickens.
Yeah.
He replaced it. He didn't replace. He put lights all around that with UV lights.
Right.
And his chickens were safe now. Like, yeah, a bulb was broken here and there, but now that thing will not.
Yeah.
It wouldn't come close. So
that's what I mean.
We got something. We got some type of results out of this, other than the fact that, like, it could have went the opposite direction, and the guy still had chickens taken away. But that's what we're saying is, by Denny telling this guy, he was just giving an idea that it could help.
Yeah.
And gladly, it did help him.
That was the one thing, too, was I volunteered us because I was afraid that if I'm completely wrong, and I'm always prepared to be completely wrong, if things escalated, I told him to let us know. And I was like, I literally told him, I was like, okay, if things go the opposite direction and it amps up, let us know. Maybe me and Tyler can come down, and maybe we can, help you out some way. You know what I mean? We're happy to, and if I make things worse, I'm definitely going to take responsibility and come and try to rectify the situation. It was funny. Steve read it, and he said something that I thought was, I hadn't thought of it. He said, isn't it funny that this thing has the whole world?
Yeah.
It has endless amounts of forest, but it just comes into your farm and takes your food. These are your,
Maybe we have those, like, just like in anybody else's, the lazy ones, the ones that don't feel like running, chasing down a deer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so non-humanly.
Or it's injured, too. It's injured, so it can't.
Maybe,
Like, desperate times.
My thought was that some people would say, like, hey, that's like an animal. That's, if an animal senses a weak spot in your fences, it'll come through. But I started thinking about that, and I'm like, is it an animal, or is that kind of human behavior? If it works once, something's easy and it works. I mean, we tend to, keep trying it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's give Mr. Charlie Raymond a call and see what he has to tell us.
Hello.
Mr. Raymond.
Hi.
How are you? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, sir. Let me
awesome.
Let me just tell you, it's a real honor to get to talk to you, man. We're pretty big fans.
Are you really?
Oh yeah,
you're making my head big.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're a pretty young podcast. We only started about maybe 7 months ago, and I guess our approach, we kind of started picking up a lot of steam, and you were definitely on our list of folks we wanted to talk to real bad, but honestly, we just didn't think that you'd have time for us.
Well, thank you. You could thank my wife for that. She's like, you should do it. You should do it. She's.
Oh man.
So she's the driving force behind me now.
That's awesome. I want to send her some flowers. This is awesome.
She likes flowers, yeah.
Yeah. So we've definitely followed you quite a bit. We know you've been on some shows. You've been on some pretty big stuff, and we know you do a lot of expeditions. And we really wanted to get right into it with you, man, and just ask. I mean,
yeah.
What for one thing, no one does something like this for as long as you have, unless they have a real passion to do it. So where does that come from? Where did you what started it? What kicked this thing off for you, man?
When I was a young boy, I watched the documentaries In Search Of and some other ones. The Legend of Boggy Creek and some other movies.
Yeah.
So I got hooked early on, and I lived down in South Florida by the Everglades, and there's talk of the skunk ape.
Oh yeah.
But eventually, you know, I grew up, had a family, went to college. All that went away until 35 years ago when I moved to Kentucky. I'm like, man, this is beautiful wilderness here. I bet there's some Bigfoots here. So I formed the organization.
Yeah.
And I started getting these reports in where people would literally talk to me for hours on the phone, you know, 1 to 2 hours at a time. You can hear the passion, their enthusiasm, their excitement,
Sure,
their disbelief. And then they would thank me, like, thank you for listening. Nobody believes us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can tell right away they saw something, you know. And I try to narrow it down, you know, to an actual Bigfoot sighting because sometimes there's misidentification. You know, there's bear,
Sure, yeah.
there's shadows, there's all kinds of things. So I really, you know, ask them a lot of open-ended questions. And if their details fit other reports and what I know about Bigfoot behavior and the physical characteristics, I will then, you know, basically classify it as a, you know, a legit report, and I'll put it on my website.
Okay.
But you know, what's funny? You said that about my enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I make a little bit of money here and there, you know, doing some stuff, speaking and expeditions and stuff. But that's nothing. And I hate to say this, but I would do it for free because I love it. The passion is there. And if you listen to people like Cliff Barackman and Bobo and some of these other researchers that come out, even Jeff Waldridge, he's a researcher and filmmaker here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
He puts on Crypticon and so forth. He came out this past weekend and spoke, did a wonderful presentation for us. But you pick up immediately his enthusiasm. He's not doing it because we're paying him or any other reason. You can tell he's passionate about it. And he would text me beforehand, hey, I got a great place to go. You know, there's a sighting here. And after the expedition's over, did you get anything? What did you get? Did you hear anything? Let me know if you got anything. You know, it's not, he's genuine. And the true researchers out there do it because they love it.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. I love it.
Oh yeah. We've definitely we've definitely encountered a few people on our show who have called us and told us their story, and they've left us sitting here just, I mean, our jaws just dropped. You know, like, I mean, you can hear it in their voices. You know, we've just recently talked to a couple guys who are actually interested in beginning, you know, in going out and researching things and getting into it, and it all stems from a sighting. You know, they experienced something, and it's like they took a negative and they turned it into a positive, which is exactly what I wanted to do with this podcast. So when we hear what you guys are doing, it's amazing. You have a big network of people coming together and doing this, and like you said, with the passion of doing it, not just the dollar sign, you know. That's really, really great to hear.
Yeah.
But I just seen that you had an expedition recently. Was it a Memorial Day or a Memorial Weekend?
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend this past weekend.
So how'd that go for you? Was it anything good or?
Yeah, we had some strange things happen. We had a possible sighting, but we can't, you know, say for sure because it was low to the ground, only about 4 foot high. It was kind of hunched over, dark, you know, almost black in color, but it was a daylight sighting by a very credible witness. But that witness said they cannot say for sure what it was. It was just a black blur, really big, but they definitely saw it, and it could have been a bear.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, but there's really no bear in the area unless, you know, a rogue bear wandered in. But the best thing that probably happened, besides the tree knocks and the rock clacks and some really cool vocals we got, the best thing that happened was we set up some traps. In other words, we replicated a skookum, you know, trap, if you will.
Okay.
It had a big muddy area, and they put fruit in the center of it to try to get tracks. We did another one where we hung a peanut butter jar, you know, 9 foot up.
Yeah.
Screwed the top on. We did another one. We put some marbles in the stump There's a little groove in the stump. We put like 5 marbles
Nice.
and some apples, and then there's another spot where we put some a quarter and we put some pennies, all I think tails up
Yeah.
in a circle around the quarter with a little mirror. Just
Okay.
some weird things we tried.
Trying to get like an
And-
interaction.
So, and here's what happened. We did get some tracks, but they were small. They looked human-like. They weren't very long,
Yeah.
but they were in a straight line, which is indicative of a Bigfoot. Perfectly straight line with a 45-inch stride. So it was a good, nice long stride, and we casted them. So we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
But the 2 traps that we really liked, the one with the coins, one of the pennies was flipped over to the opposite, whatever it was, heads or tails, and it was moved over next to another penny. Now, the
wow.
ground is muddy. It's a really sticky mud. So for something to hit that, I can't imagine it would slide. I can't imagine it would flip up in the air if
Yeah.
you even hit it. It's almost like something picked it up, flipped it over, and moved it over. Okay.
Yeah.
The mirror was knocked down, had some smudge marks on it. And the other mirror that we had by the apples also had smudge marks, not fingerprints, because my wife Lindsay's a fingerprint, not expert, but she's got a lot of experience in forensics and
Yeah.
law enforcement, and she said they're not fingerprints, but they're definite smudges, so we don't know what they are. But then the marble section, one of the marbles was picked out of the groove and was balanced on the edge of the log. So in other words, if something hit it, and we tried to replicate it, and it was really hard for me to do it,
Yeah.
if somebody hit that, it would have just pretty much rolled out. I can't imagine something hit it and it rolled up on that little teeny ledge and stayed there. And I got pictures, and we took a bunch of pictures before and after.
Yeah.
So we can't say for sure that any of this stuff was Bigfoot. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm very careful when I put evidence out there. We'll just we'll title it "Strange Happenings" or "Suspicious Activity," but never ever do we say a
Yeah.
Bigfoot did this.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that going around too, especially with the what I call the blob squatch. You see that a lot, and I've personally I'm more of a pattern analyst. I like to look at patterns, and I like to see things that stand out in a normal system. And when I watch this, some of these pictures that come through, and sometimes I'll download them and I'll put them into my computer and I'll analyze, and 9 out of 10 I find a bush,
Exactly.
But that's not to say that I haven't found a few things that did stand out that definitely were not a bush, and that's it's very enticing, But the power of suggestion is. It's out there, and there's a lot of folks, that are seeing what they're seeing. What about you, man? Personally, I mean, what do you think that the Sasquatch or Bigfoot? What do you think we're dealing with? What is it that you think this is?
I think it's a relic hominid. Something very closely related to us, because all the close encounters that I've documented and interviewed the witnesses. Everyone said it had a wide hooded nose, like a human, some human-like features, although it, usually a heavy brow, large inset eyes, thin lips, large flat teeth, of course the hair and the sagittal crest and the sloped forehead and all the other Bigfoot stuff.
Right.
But most of them said it kind of looked human-like in the face. And most of these witnesses that have come close to these things could have been killed, but in every instance, the Bigfoot walked away and did not harm the individual. So I really believe they don't want to hurt us, and I, of course, don't want to hurt them.
Yeah, I think we share the same sentiment. I mean, recently we had a guy write into the show, and I've been putting together a pattern of mainly based off of a lot of the eye shine that people are seeing, and there's I know there's a few videos out there that are, the listener can go out and find, and I'm sure you've seen it too. The eye shine got to me because If you know, when you see something, almost anything through a night vision scope, its eyes light up. But when you're looking at a regular camera, you know, and a flashlight, and there's something with eyes shining out there, and they're, you know, 7-8 inches apart from each other, and you can't help but think, like, this thing has to have amazing night vision. It has to be able to see in the dark almost. I would almost venture to say better than daytime. I had a guy recently write in that had some trouble with what he thought was a really big chicken thief, something coming into his farm and taking his birds. And he grows, you know, he raises birds for the year, for their, you know, for their families and whatnot, for, you know, a food supply basically. And he asked me, you know, he sends us a message out of nowhere and says, man, what do you think I can do? What do I do? Do I shoot it? What do I do? You know, and I said, you ever thought about maybe putting some UV lights around your coop? And I told him, I said, I don't know if it's going to work. You know, we don't have a science book to go off of here, but he tried it, and it worked. Whatever it was, it made it angry. It busted one of his lights, and I guess it went off. I don't really know, but I kept thinking that if this thing has fantastic night vision, then wouldn't UV lights be kind of an issue for it in the middle of the dark, you know, when his eyes are set in for that mode, you know, to get through the wilderness or whatnot. And I think that's the frustrating part for a lot of us is we don't have a science book that we can open up and say, oh, well, you know, Bigfoot does this and Bigfoot does this. And the only thing we have is to go off of each other, you know. So I don't know. Have you come across anything, you know, like that where you're like, wow, this is a game changer. This means this, you know what I mean? Anything in all your findings?
I agree with you about being able to see at night, and because a lot of the witnesses describe the eyes, as being huge and solid black. In other words, you don't see the whites of the eyes. It's almost like they're one giant pupil, which would make sense. It lets more light in so they can see better at night.
Yeah.
And they're more active at night, even though we have daytime sightings. I do believe, because of the daytime sightings, that there might be some type of polyphasic sleep cycle, meaning they would sleep maybe 4 hours and then awake 4 hours. There's a lot of research done on the human brain regarding getting more sleep more often, and the benefits of a polyphasic sleep cycle. When you get into that deep REM sleep, there's a lot of health benefits from it. But besides the health benefits from it, a Sasquatch would be less likely to be walked up on. So during the daytime, you know, why risk hunters and hikers and so forth coming up on one?
Yeah.
They sleep 4 hours. They might have a sentry, stand guard, and watch if any humans come. And a lot of researchers believe that, and I do, because we've got loud home run knocks when we entered an area during the day, which kind of means, okay, humans present, you know, lay low, let's get out of here, you know, while the humans are here. And then sometimes when we leave the area, one loud home run knock, you know, coast is clear. So we typically, I never do one knock because I think one knock means lay low. So but I kind of think that they might have that type of sleep cycle. Also, the knocking, I've learned that multiple knocks entice it more of a reaction. So 3 knocks work really well. A knock with a whistle, a knock with a whoop. I've heard that. I've done it and gotten responses from doing combinations.
Wow.
And not knowing what they mean, some people believe that the number of knocks corresponds to the number of people in your group. I've never, ever experienced that. I've had, 6, 7 people and 3 knocks. Or I've had 2 people and I've had 3 knocks. It's never really matched up. But I do believe they knock, just to communicate, to let each other know we got, people here. I'm over here if you need me. So they just use that to kind of communicate when there's people present. Or if they're hunting, maybe they knock just to find out where the other one is, kind of locate each other.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot about their behaviors. But one of the main things I tell people they're highly intelligent, so you're not going to fool them. So don't wear camo, and even your night vision. People think they can see the IR, which I do believe they can see the IR, the night vision.
Yeah.
So you're not going to fool them. But the best interactions I've experienced is when you go out, you act normal, you're non-threatening, you're laughing, you're talking, you're playing music, you're cooking food, just like happy-go-lucky hikers and campers. And they're curious. They want to see what we're doing. We're their entertainment. So we're in their living room, we're their TV, so to speak. And, just go out there and act normal, and chances are you'll have a great interaction. Don't do too many howls and too many knocks and stuff like that. I know you want to, and trust me, I want to too. But just try to restrain yourself. Go out there, hike at night, which is, kind of creepy in itself. And you'll be surprised. You'll get interactions.
Yeah, I had the same kind of idea, because there's a couple places that I've actually wanted to take Denny here and stuff, and I kept saying, man, we need to mount a camera on our backs and just kind of have a casual conversation with each other, not even paying attention to the surroundings and just see if we can catch something. And I kept saying, if I was playing around, I take a bite of an apple and I just chuck it behind me and see if we get any kind of reaction out of that, because since it seems like we're not searching, that's when we would get our reaction. And that's what, like you saying that makes so much more sense. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a great idea about just take a bite out of the apple, throw it behind you.
Yeah, because they would actually, I feel like it would be more of an interesting thing for them, oh, he touched it, what?
I wonder with the number of knocks. For a while, I suspected when I heard the term day watcher, it stuck out to me. I don't even remember where I heard the term. It just stuck with me. Day watcher, and people were talking about they were actually out there looking, and they heard the knocks, and they immediately went towards the knocks, trying to catch a glimpse to see what was doing it. And I kept thinking, I actually reached out to one group and I said, hey, have you guys ever thought of when you hear the knocks, go the opposite way? If it really is a day watcher,
right?
Maybe whoever he's watching for is a lot closer to you than you think, and that's to get you to go this way, so that they can kind of scurry off. I don't know. I agree with you when you say they're extremely intelligent. I do not believe it's a dumb animal at all. I do not believe that. And I do think, like you said, you can't fool them. Like I said earlier, when you look through a night vision scope, anything out there, its eyes are going to light up like candles. So I'm thinking, if I'm out there, or say a bunch of us are walking around out there and it's dark, wouldn't it look like a bunch of little lit up candles when he looks out and sees our eyes in the dark? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I thought, man, these guys can really see you coming way before you'll ever see them.
And we don't know what other heightened senses that they have. They probably, especially living out there. So I have always thought that before you even think about going into the woods, they probably know that you're there.
It's their backyard.
Yeah, it's their backyard, like you were saying.
Absolutely.
Right.
I did want to ask you though. I know this is kind of in the same realm. We've compiled a list actually from I think it might be your own website that we've been on.
Oh yeah.
And we took and made a map of sightings from your website, and we actually nicknamed one of the patterns that came up, and I'm happy to send this to you if you ever want to see it. We nicknamed the big guy Louie, mainly because it was semi-close to Louisville, and I noticed that in his sightings, he hung out in an area for about a year, and then he moved. Or maybe he spent that year moving, I don't know, but every single one we got was 1 year apart, and it was almost exactly 20 miles away, and it was following a river. To me, that's intelligent. if he's following a river, if he's following a path, and he's, the people are getting little glimpses of him and they're seeing him, and it made me think that, okay, so is he using these rivers as a landmark? Is he using, is it a what do you call it, a migration trail almost? What's your thoughts on that? Do you think they migrate, or do you think they just kind of hang out?
I do not think they migrate. Actually, I think they stay within, one or two counties of each other, because I've noticed a pattern in the physical descriptions from witnesses seeing the same Bigfoot over decades in the same county.
Oh, wow.
A perfect example is Howdy, which was seen in Anderson County in the 60s. And he had walked out of the woods and he raised its arm and he walked back in the woods. Fast forward to 2011, two teens see another Bigfoot walk out of the woods and raise its arm. Fit the same description.
Wow.
Same behavior, basically the same county. And I've got lots of stories like that with behaviors and Bigfoots with a gray abdomen region. So they're a little bit older and they're kind of gray in the abdomen.
Yeah.
That same Bigfoot's seen over decades, in Adair County. The Varmint is the nickname of that one.
Wow. I wonder what kind of longevity we're looking at with these guys.
I would say, close to ours, like 100 years is the longest. But they do take the waterways. They do travel the creeks, as they say in Boggy Creek.
Yeah.
Because every waterway basically goes underneath roads and interstates, and they're usually tree lined. So it's a great place for them to travel and never be seen, until someone comes across one. But
a lot of people say that they might burrow underground. What's your take on that?
They I don't know if they burrow, but there's a lot of reports of them laying on the ground, covered themselves with leaves and debris, because I've got quite a few reports of people seeing that and actually also seeing the Bigfoot with leaves and mud stuck to its hair all over its back. I do believe they'll cover themselves up. They will take advantage of caves and large uprooted trees from the tree balls stuck up in the air. I've got reports of them laying in the divot from the tree and covering themselves with leaves.
Wow. Okay.
But regarding making a burrow or
tunneling system,
I don't think they wouldn't spend that much energy to do that.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, we did actually have it's actually it was our first guest on this podcast, Lee Woods.
Yeah, Lee Woods.
Yeah, he actually said that he was out and there was it's actually they nicknamed this one the Old Man of the Woods.
Yeah.
And they said that they found some, they thought they saw one laying down under some leaves.
Yeah.
And they were saying that it was making deer sounds, like it was actually making some deer sounds like over the hill or something.
Oh yeah.
So I actually, you saying that actually popped that in my mind. I was like, wow, that's actually crazy. I didn't think nothing of that, because that was the second time I've actually heard that. Never actually heard them actually physically make a own ghillie suit, so to speak, cover themselves,
or an ambush point.
Yeah, an ambush point.
That's pretty wild to hear that detail come around after all this time. Wow. Yeah, I could see that, but I mean that denotes absolute. I mean, intelligence. I mean, that's not just a survival instinct, is it? I mean, that's in the realm of engineering. I mean, to lay down and cover yourself up. I mean, if we're talking a hominid, I mean, that's to me that sounds smart. That sounds like,
Well, I think it goes even beyond that. They don't want to set up shop. They don't want to play house.
Yeah.
They don't want to make a structure where you're going to come by and find them, with their family and he's out there mowing his yard.
Right.
They're going to keep moving. They're going to take advantage of caves and overhangs and uprooted trees and fallen trees, and they're going to get in there and stay the night or stay the day and then move on. Keep moving, because it's too risky to stay in one spot.
Definitely, yeah.
So, so what you're saying, like, they don't physically move from like state to state. They kind of make a huge like circle until, like, if it's something that it starts getting a little bit overpopulated, they kind of move a little bit down around that same area. You don't think they'll actually go further? I would say over
couple counties.
They could. I mean, if they're forced out of an area due to urban sprawl, due to hunters, due to lack of food, cover, they will move. And some young, male squatches may move, go on their own to look for a mate. But overall, based on my research of 30 plus years, I'm getting the same descriptions, physical and behavior descriptions, in the same counties. And I've got my own private maps that I don't put out there, but I can show you, just tons of pins where these sightings were the same individual over decades.
That's incredible. Honestly, that's mind blowing. To be honest with you, that's just hearing that. I mean, like I said, I just started. Maybe I was screamed at by something one night. Almost 20 years ago, and I didn't know what the hell I was dealing with, and it startled me pretty bad because it was really close. And years later, I heard the same scream on a on a YouTube channel called Thinker Thunker. Are you familiar with that one?
Yep, I sure am.
And I heard that same scream again, and it made all the hairs stand up on my on the back of my neck. And we got to talking, and we're like, you know what, let's look into this. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can help. If not, then whatever. But if we can help, cool. Let's try. Because it changed me for a couple years. I was afraid to even go outside when it was dark after that one for quite a good little while. Have you heard the scream before?
Yeah, I've heard quite a few screams. I did record a few, which are on my website under audio, or I got some in the video section too. And the one scream that I recorded, got a picture of it too on a trail camera. I didn't get the picture, the owner did, and it looks kind of demonic. I mean, it doesn't look like your typical Sasquatch. And I had to go out there by myself in the dark, cross up a pasture, up a creek, up a ridge to get my camera, trail camera.
Yeah.
And I did have a gun with me, but man, I was so nervous because I've seen a picture of it. I recorded it scream.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like a friendly one, even though I know most Bigfoots are friendly, but there are some exceptions to that. And
yeah, I've definitely heard that too.
That was a scary time going back there.
Oh yeah, I imagine. It takes, pardon my language, but I mean, the fact that you went there to get your, to get your camera or whatever. I mean, it's balls of steel, in my opinion. Because I don't know if I could do it.
I only did because I had to. Trust me, I would not do it again. And
I don't blame you there.
And I'm, I'm 100% believer. I'm not a knower. Knower to me, a knower is somebody that's had a sighting. I've never really had a sighting, so to speak, a close or definitive sighting. I've been close many times. I've got dozens of close encounters.
Yeah.
Where I know a Bigfoot's there, and it pushes a tree over, it screams, it comes really close, and I tell you, I get nervous. I leave the area.
Yeah.
But hopefully one day I will hold my ground. Maybe my wife will give me some motivation. She's there by me.
Yeah.
Just stay put and let's see this thing. That's why we're here. Let's see this thing. And we've had this happen on our expeditions. On the last 6 expeditions, well now 7 expeditions, I've had 5 visual sightings by credible witnesses. And a couple of the sightings were bluff charges, and the witness had seen it prior. And long story, but it eventually bluff charged them. And she took out her pen light, try to get it to stop, and she put it down real quick. And she never did see it because the terrain, was down in the creek bottom there. She never did see it, but the creature stopped. And because our protocol is no white lights, we go out with red headlamps and we don't use flashlights.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she doesn't know why. She just doesn't know why. She just did it real quick, like fear. but she didn't want to. I don't know if she didn't want to see it, afraid to see it, maybe.
Right.
But now I tell my participants, if you're getting bluff charged and one's there, go ahead and light it up. Take your white light out.
Yeah.
Get it to stop if it's bluff charging, and usually they will. And then see it. That's what you're there for, is to see it. You're not going to hurt it. You're not going to shoot it.
Right.
So hopefully next time this happens, I'll have my trusty flashlight and I'll get a good look at one.
Oh yeah. And we've gotten a little bit of feedback on the the ultraviolet, the UV lights. They were I recommended 100 watt to 150 watt bulbs. I'm actually not sure which ones he bought, but they were powerful. I don't think they like the bright light, so if anybody gets in a compromising situation, if you happen to have an ultraviolet, I think it might help.
Yeah. I tell a lot of people that who call that they're concerned because they're coming around the property.
Yeah.
They've got dogs, they've got chickens, they've got small children, and they ask me, what should I do? I said, well, put up lights, put up security lights, and put up game cameras. Put up game cameras and security lights. They're not going to come around.
Oh, that's true. Do you think they can see the camera? Can they see the light coming from the camera?
Yeah, because I had third gen night vision once, and my buddy had night vision. I could see the IR beam on his night vision. It looked like a flashlight beam going through the woods.
Yeah.
Clear as day. And if they have night vision of their own, so to speak, they're nocturnal, I'm sure they can see that. Plus there's a lot of reports of people saying they would always avoid cameras and they always stay just out of reach where they see a stick come in. Stick will touch the food, but you never just see the squash. You just see the stick coming off camera or just thrown in.
Yeah.
They never go in front of the camera. Plus, they can smell it. They can hear the mechanism, sense the EMF. There's a million reasons why they avoid game cameras. Now, with that being said, I still put them out. I mean, I hide them. I disguise them by putting them by a creek where there's some noise. And I'm hoping to get one, on a bad day.
Yeah, just where he kind of just happens right through it.
Right. Chasing a deer or chasing after, a mate or just a slow one. I don't know. But I'm still going to put them out. I'm going to hide them the best I can.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun just to see. It's like Christmas Day when you get the card out and you're looking. Even the animals, it's fun to watch the different animals on the game camera. So. Oh
yeah, definitely. I like doing that here on my farm. We're up here in northern Kentucky, and I have a 13-acre farm here that we're working on, and we're actually sitting out here tonight under the beautiful sky with a fire going, talking to you. It's pretty much perfect, to be honest.
Sweet.
It's awesome.
Which county are you in?
We're in Campbell County.
Campbell County.
Yeah, we've only got one or two sightings that have been reported here, but
I'm only going off of the ones that actually are on your website.
Yeah. I never submitted mine because I honestly didn't know what the hell screamed at me at the time, and I never knew to report it anywhere. I mean, I didn't know the Kentucky Bigfoot organization was even out there. There
is that
until a while ago.
The Western one, but I never really heard that much about them.
Yeah, that is something. On Facebook, I noticed that there's different regions of Kentucky Bigfoot research organizations. Are those all under your banner, or are they independent?
No, they're all independent.
Oh, okay.
People just form, Eastern Kentucky Bigfoot, Western Kentucky Bigfoot, Northern.
Yeah.
They're all independent researchers, and I encourage people to do that. I mean, go out there, form a group, gather sightings, document them. The more, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And share information. I mean, there's too many groups out there, that won't share things. And I really believe we need to share more research. And, kind of work together.
I also noticed that there was several groups where we were trying to share our little podcast out to see, if anybody wanted to, throw us some insights or things they've learned, you know. And your Facebook group was one of the first ones to go ahead and push our podcast episodes through and let us share. And on behalf of us and our listeners, we really appreciated that. It helped a lot. It really did.
Yeah, we definitely want people to post, you know, their Bigfoot research in our Facebook group.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a little tricky. I'll be honest, because sometimes you get some research that's kind of bogus, kind of out there, and you know, a lot of the pareidolia images, the blob squatches and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets to be too much, and I gotta let people know. Listen, we need to raise the bar. These blob squatches and shadows in the woods are not cutting it.
Yeah.
And I hate to be the bad guy, but sometimes I have to just say, listen. And the reason is too, other people in the group, they don't want to keep seeing that stuff. They don't want to keep seeing these. If you got to make a circle around it, it's really not worth it. You know, you got to raise the bar a little bit.
Maybe that's the origin of something we've been coming. People have been bringing it up to us lately, where there's a rather large group of. I think we lost him.
Yep.
Okay, I think we lost our guest. Let me give him a call back and see what happened here.
Lost you there.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I guess it just disconnected.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But
that's okay.
What I was going to say was lately people have been bringing it up to me that they've been kind of leaning away from the research groups. I don't know if it's one person said to us that they didn't like the idea that there was an organized group telling them what was right and what was wrong. And do you come in contact with that a lot? I mean, I know there's some really far out ideas in regards to this subject, but I mean, is it really all that, or I mean, is it just do you think it's just kind of with this many people, kind of just a difference of opinions?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, sometimes the group can, you know, impose their thoughts on their participants and be a little too strict in their rules and so forth. But then also too, sometimes people put bogus stuff out there that, oh my gosh, and you know, and it's just the tree structures, you know, posting multiple pictures every day of a couple sticks or a couple bends or a couple, you know, we have no proof that Bigfoot did that. You know, Mother Nature does it. I could walk right back here behind, you know, the store next door in the woods, and there I'll find 10 different bends and X's, and you know, I can take pictures of the woods and pull, you know, zoom in, let it get real pixelated and pick out a face.
Right.
And in fact, I'm going to do that. I told my wife, I'm going to go out to a random spot, literally behind like a Walmart with a little patch of woods, take some pictures in the daytime, zoom in on the shadows on my computer, and circle the faces that I find and just show people, listen, here's what's happening.
Right,
it's called pareidolia, and you have the innate ability to see faces. And so the people that keep doing that, it's one or two things. It's one, they're naive, they don't know any better. Two, they do it for attention. They think it's actually it's three things. It's no, I think I'll just narrow. I'll say two categories. It's either being naive or they do it for attention.
Gotcha. Okay.
But and the way to eliminate that, and I tell them, well, show me the before and after pictures. If you got something there, you think it's a Bigfoot. Okay, you got the picture, right? Stay in the same spot or go back there as soon as you can. Take another picture, same exact spot.
Yeah.
And see if that figure's still there. You know, you got to do your due diligence and present your research, share the story. Some guy got upset with me because he just posted a picture like that, and I said, well, do you have an after picture of what happened? No.
Yeah.
Well, what's the backstory? He shares the backstory. He goes, well, you know, how come you don't believe me? I go, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you took the time or what the story is. And he got real defensive about it. And there's a lot of egos involved. I know that.
Yeah.
You got to be open to constructive criticism.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have thick skin. If your research isn't good, you got to just say, "Oh yeah, you're right. I do see your point of view."
Absolutely. Yeah.
But people like to defend their research. I will tell you that they like to stand behind it.
Yeah, there's a couple big names out there that I won't drop them, but there's a couple big names out there that absolutely refuse peer review, and that makes me suspicious. I can't help it. It's if there's no cross references here, like me personally, I would love to send you the patterns that I've found and have you literally say, "Hey man, I don't think these line up." And I'm okay with that. I can move on. I can move right past that. But peer review, I think, is really important, especially when dealing with something we don't have a definitive science for.
Yeah, I agree. Peer review is wonderful, especially if you have somebody that has been in the woods for many years, has analyzed a lot of photos, and has studied Bigfoot behaviors and et cetera, et cetera. And you get them to kind of look at it and be open-minded to it and say, well, yeah, he's got some points there. But you know what? And my wife and I were talking about this. Even with her maybe possible sighting and some of the rock clacks we heard this weekend and the scream we heard and something moving the penny and moving the marble, that doesn't mean it's a Bigfoot. I mean, this is all circumstantial evidence that we gathered. It's fun. It makes you want to do it more because, I was so excited because the next day I wanted to go back and look at the traps we set up, and nothing was moved the next day. I'm like, damn! If only they were moved again the same way. Yeah. It would have sold us 100%. Yeah. But nothing was moved the second day, so did something just bump it? So it doesn't matter what we get or what we do. Right. Until we have a body, it's never going to be proven.
Well, that's true, yeah. I mean, until we have that. I have another question for you I wanted to throw at you, and I hope you don't hate me forever for asking. But we get a lot of people who email us in, and they bring up another cryptid that we've been a little bit researching into. And I don't want to say we've gone into it quite as much as the big guy here, but we hear about the dogman quite a bit. Have you heard about this one?
Oh yeah. I've taken 2 amazing dogman encounters where I met the witnesses in person. Yeah. They're both, one of them for sure is on my website under videos. If you go all the way down under videos to the Indiana Bigfoot or dogman encounter. Yeah. That one there, that guy did not contact us. I was a school teacher for many years. A lot of my students found out that I researched Bigfoot. So they would come to my office after class, and I tell them stories. Yeah. And the parents loved it because the kids were going to the library. They're checking out books. Oh, sure. Parents loved it. And then one day one of the moms goes, "Hey, listen, I got a guy I work with. He thinks he's seen one, but I'll try to get his number." And it took me a month to get his number. Yeah. I finally called him. I said, "Hey, listen, I heard you saw something." He goes, "Yeah, you're welcome to come out." He was very nonchalant. Showed no excitement over it. Yeah. He goes, when I got to his house, he goes, "Well, I asked a couple of neighbors, but I don't tell anybody because it's kind of strange." But basically, what he saw was this upright figure on 2 legs, only 6 foot tall. The legs looked like they were bent backwards. Yeah. It had pointed ears on top of the head, a large protruding muzzle, unlike a Bigfoot, and it walked right in front of his house, like early morning when the sun was coming up. Wow. And then he ran outside. He was looking for it. It was over in a field on all 4s, and it turned back and looked at him as it's walking away then on all 4s. And he had seen it a couple of weeks prior, running in front of his car, long black hair, flowing in the wind. It was kind of galloping. He thinks it's the same creature. This guy is a nurse and a chiropractor going on 30 years. Wow. So he knows anatomy. Yeah. And he even mentioned its gait. We talk about the Bigfoot's gait, and he said the dogman's gait. He said it kind of bounced. Like when it was walking, it was kind of a springy step, and it would walk, unlike a Bigfoot. All the Bigfoot reports I've taken, the witness describes it like being on skates, like gliding. And we know that from the compliant gait and the mid-tarsal break and so forth. That Bigfoot's kind of glide. So the dogman creature he witnessed did not do that. It kind of had a spring to its step, but very believable sighting. You could go listen to him tell that story.
Yeah,
on my
I
website.
absolutely will. Yeah.
And then another girl going to school, she saw one. But it's funny. Her report, when she said it had a muzzle, and she did see the ears, pointed ears on the side of the head, which is abnormal for Bigfoot. Most Bigfoot sightings, you don't see the ears.
Yeah.
But when she drew a sketch, when she got to school that day, she was like a senior in high school. She got there, she told her boyfriend, and she drew a sketch immediately. She sent me the sketch. Well, the sketch, if you kind of look at it, it could be a Bigfoot, because
Wow.
the muzzle is not as big as I thought it would be. It looked more like prognathus, like a chimp.
Yeah.
Which Bigfoots have a little bit of that prognathism of the jaw. But she did draw ears on it and sides, which is kind of abnormal for a Bigfoot. But maybe it was a Bigfoot, or maybe it was a dogman. I don't know. But
yeah, that's interesting.
That was in Bullitt County, Kentucky, which I've got lots of Bigfoot reports.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, I'll be honest with you. More often than not, whenever you bring up the dogman to anyone who's interested in Sasquatch, you almost get this, well, man, I mean, we're having enough trouble with Sasquatch. We don't need to go into that. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to hear, that you're pretty open to those encounters as well. That's pretty awesome to know. There's definitely a lot of folks out there. We actually got emailed right before we called you from a listener who's apparently has been dealing with dogmen on their property for the last 50 years.
Wow.
And he wants us to call him and get his story out there. And I don't know what to say. It's incredible.
Just call him. Let him tell you the details.
Absolutely.
Let him fill in all the details and see. Let people judge themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I have talked to credible witnesses. Even Cliff Berkman. If you ask him, and I asked him in person, and you hear him talk about it on his podcast, he has a really good friend that saw Dogman run next to his car, and it was running alongside his car. And Cliff said, "This is a guy that I would trust with my family. He's a very honest man, and I don't doubt what he saw. Now, what it is, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
But he described it as a dogman."
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. If I saw something like that, I wouldn't even know what to think. I mean,
well, they say they're a little bit more evil, a little more aggressive.
Yeah. And
knowing that too, when I interviewed the one teenager, we went to the house. My friend, researcher friend, and I.
Yeah.
And we interviewed her, and then he and I went the next day behind her house, down in this holler, and went down to this creek, and we're walking this creek, and it was like from a movie. The sides of the creek kept getting steeper and steeper on both sides of us.
Yeah.
And at the end was a cave with vines hanging down in front of that cave, and it was getting dark. And I looked at him. I said, "Nope, we're not going in that cave."
I don't blame you there.
We got creeped out, and we got out of there as fast as we could.
That's actually something we've been diving into pretty heavily lately. Is that your gut instinct. And lately I've gotten in the habit of telling our listeners, like, hey, if you're out there and you feel something, you feel it, trust your gut, turn around, go out the same way you came in. Don't push it. Just, trust yourself, trust your instinct. I feel like it's good advice. I mean, we developed these instincts over millions of years, so might as well trust them.
Yeah, that's sixth sense. Most of us have it, and sometimes we can feel when we're being watched. And I had it happen to me one time, and unless you were there, oh my gosh, I was walking a creek bed again, thick forest on both sides. Up the bank was just huge banks with thick forest, daytime. And I'm up front, and I stop. And I turn to my left, look way up the bank, kind of far away, almost 50 to 75 yards away.
Yeah.
And this little opening was a coyote looking right at me. And all I saw was his face.
Oh,
and
wow.
he's looking directly at me. And it wasn't like I looked around. I looked up and looked right at him.
Yeah.
It's like find Waldo, in the picture. Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
I looked right at him immediately, and it gives me goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
He, as soon as he saw me, he took off, and then I could see part of the side profile, and he took off. I go, that was amazing that I could look right up at him and make eye contact with him.
And you knew, your instinct knew it. I mean that.
I knew it, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think twice about it. It wasn't like I paused and said, I feel like I'm being watched.
Yeah.
I just stopped, and I just immediately I looked right up and looked right at him.
Yeah.
It was immediate. So how is that? I mean, how can I look right at him? I don't know, but that's the first time that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, speaking of that, like, we actually put out, like, a small, like, little episode a while back ago on our YouTube channel. It's just little theories that we kind of compile together, and we kind of throw it out there to let our listeners to kind of make their own decision on, like, if they think it's plausible or not. But this is something that's been going, it's kind of, like, been hovering around the whole Sasquatch thing, is infrasound, that they can emit these, like, low frequencies that actually can mess with your your organs, like, makes you feel that feeling of dread. Have you had anybody talk to you about that, or have you had that kind of experience when you're out and about?
Yeah, I've been with other researchers who were claimed to have been hit with infrasound. Mm-hmm. Now, infrasound's a real thing.
Yeah.
Large mammals like tigers and so forth emit infrasound.
Absolutely.
It's a sound wave below 20 hertz, so you cannot hear it.
I believe the tiger is 17 hertz.
Yeah, and it will disorient you. You'll have feelings of distraught, despair, lose track of time, feel very uneasy, upset, and I've got people that were hit with it, and it's almost brought them to their knees.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that there's been 2 times that this has happened that I know the people, and we had Bigfoot sightings, the same exact spot, not the same time that it happened, but multiple Bigfoot sightings by credible witnesses right where this person was hit with infrasound. Another person was hit with infrasound, and after they were hit, they came back down to camp. They told us what had happened, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Let's go up there. So I went up there with about 4 or 5 other people. One guy has a thermal imager, and we recorded the belly crawl video, which you can see on my website.
Yeah.
You go to videos, the belly crawl. That belly crawl video was taken right after somebody was hit with infrasound, supposedly, and we went up there, and we jumped. We think we jumped 2 juvies, 2 young ones, and they started to run, and they didn't know the protocol. An adult squatch is going to just remain still, that you walk right by. The 2 juvies kind of panicked, I think. They started to run. It scared the daylights out of us. We turned. The guy took his thermal out and thermed, we think, 2 Sasquatches belly crawling. Again, you can see the video on my website, KentuckyBigfoot.com, and look at it. See what you think.
Okay,
rule out,
definitely.
A lot of times with Bigfoot sightings and other type of Class B stuff like vocals and tree knocks, and trees being pushed over, and if you're in that situation, you know the surroundings, you know the circumstances.
Yeah.
Rule out everything else. Like my wife's sighting, she just saw this past weekend. Rule out immediately. You could rule out deer. You could rule out, a skunk or a possum. This thing was way too big.
Yeah.
The only thing it could have been would be a bear or a Bigfoot.
Yeah, there you go.
And we did not see bear scat anywhere. We're there the whole weekend looking around. Not one sign of bear scat or bear tracks.
Yeah.
And 2 other things. There's not really bear in the area. No reports of bear. But I do have dozens of reports of Bigfoots in the area.
Another thing, too, is I'm actually, I've been a knife maker and blacksmith for over 10 years. And I actually did some work for a guy who's up in Alaska, and he talks about bears a lot, and goes hunting in different places and things like that. And the one detail that he threw at me was, bears aren't really stealthy. And I was like, really? And he goes, oh no, they're the biggest guy out there. They don't care if you hear them coming or not.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, they're not
That's
going to
true.
sit there and hide from you. He's like, they don't care if you're there one way or another. He's like, especially a big mother bear with her cubs. He's like,
Right.
she'll walk right up to you, and then you're not going to like it after that. But and that always made me wonder when when people confuse the bear with the big guy out there. They're like, well, there was it was weird, it was quiet, things like this, it could have been a bear. And I think, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's a bear, isn't it just going to kind of go do what it wants? And, kind of, it's
true.
almost like to hell with if you guys notice me or not. I'm bigger, I'm badder,
That's a great point. Bears are not stealthy.
Yeah.
They don't care if people see them. They're the alpha predator.
Yeah.
So bears just going to lumber by and not try to hide, and that's true.
Yeah.
Where a Sasquatch would try to hide. So, I would think if there's a bear out there, based on all the people that we've seen, some people fishing, and we were out there for 3 days, 3 nights,
Yeah.
we would have seen that bear because, like you said, bears are not stealthy. They don't care about being seen. They're the alpha predator. So,
Right, yeah.
In terms of a Sasquatch, this fit more of a Sasquatch behavior, hunching down. We got lots of reports of Bigfoot hunching down, trying to look more discreet.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's interesting. Are we keeping you too long? We're picking your brain. I feel like we're.
oh yeah, I gotta go fairly soon. It's almost 10. But
Okay, well,
is there any other questions you'd like to ask?
I actually
or-
had one more, and it was actually on my next thing. What about, have you heard any of the orbs? That's
Oh,
something
yeah,
that's
yeah.
been like, they keep trying to link it to the UFOs and aliens and Sasquatch.
Yeah, we hear this a lot.
We hear this a lot, and they say sometimes the orbs could be the spirits of their old like kin. So what is your take on the orbs before we
Yeah.
kind of
Do you have an opinion on
Yeah.
that, or is it?
Yeah, I do believe in spirits and ghosts and orbs, and I do believe in all that. I've seen them. I've got reports of witnesses who've had a Bigfoot sighting, and then we get orbs the day after or the same location, a week after. Credible witnesses see these orb-like things.
Yeah.
Now, I cannot make a causation case where one causes the other. In other words, the orbs change into the Bigfoot or vice versa. I've never seen that, and I've never taken a report
Right.
where a person says, oh, the Bigfoot turned into an orb or the orb turned into a Bigfoot.
Right.
But I
yeah.
will tell you, I have had reports of orbs in the same areas of Bigfoots. Not very common, but I do have credible witnesses who claimed those encounters.
Well, that's incredible. And, sir, I really do appreciate you taking time to talk to us. And I'm going to apologize for keeping you so long,
Yeah.
but we've been real excited to talk to you. And we definitely appreciate you coming on here and sharing what you've shared with us and straighten us out a little bit, set us straight a little bit.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're very open to learn, and we want to devour as much information as we can, and it's real awesome. Do you have anything coming up that you wanted to you want to share out there? We can put it out there to all of our listeners.
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of things, but two big events coming up on June 26th.
Okay.
In London, Kentucky. We are doing a Bigfoot presentation with a dinner catered by a sauced Italian restaurant,
Okay.
and that's only $25. So you get a 1-hour multimedia presentation where I share the latest research from Kentucky and some amazing evidence. With a
Outstanding.
Q&A afterwards, and you get to enjoy some wonderful Italian food. So only $25 for that. And then afterwards, we are going on a night hike in the Daniel Boone National Forest.
Oh wow.
It'll be a 4-hour Bigfoot hike where I will teach you some of the tricks of the trade, and you learn how to go squatching and some of the things I've found that has worked in the past.
Okay.
And the hike itself is only $25. You can do both, or you can do just one. But if you go to my website, KentuckyBigfoot.com,
Okay.
you'll see right there, there's a link to click to register. And then I'm going to announce, probably tonight or tomorrow, maybe tomorrow night, because it's late, my fall expedition.
Okay.
The fall expedition, it's an undisclosed area. I cannot disclose it because that's where I do research. But this is the place where we've had 5 visual sightings on my last 7 expeditions by credible witnesses.
Wow.
And countless interactions and sightings by other witnesses in the area. This expedition is 3 days, 3 nights. It includes your meals, campsite, and everything. And you can go to my website, KentuckyBigfoot.com. Probably tomorrow, I will have a link up to that expedition, and it fills up fast. The last time I posted it, it filled up in a week, and I had more than I cared, to attend. I actually had too many people, but this time I'm cutting it off at 40 people.
Okay.
And I know your listeners are like, 40 people. No. It's not like that. Every night we go to different areas with teams of like 10 or less.
Oh,
and
okay.
we scour, thousands of acres of areas, where I know they're at. And we use thermals and radios and everything like you see on TV.
Yeah.
It's well organized. We have guest speakers each night who come in and talk for an hour on some Bigfoot topic. So again, KentuckyBigfoot.com. Go there probably tomorrow night, and you'll see the links to these events.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
We'll make sure that we spread the word as well, and I'm actually half tempted to jump on there and register myself.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you do it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let you record some for your podcast, so you could do a podcast right from the event.
Oh, that would be pretty awesome. I think we might have to take you up on that one. That's just too irresistible, if I'm being honest. That's just too. You just dangled a carrot right there in front of us. We didn't hesitate.
I figured that would work.
Oh yeah. Well, we appreciate it, sir, and we're sorry for keeping you so long, but
no, don't be.
On behalf of us and our listeners, thank you so much, man. Thank you for being on here with us, and we hope you have all the luck. And I think we're going to try to register so we can come down there and hang out with you, and maybe aggravate you a little bit in person. That'd be pretty fun.
Well, it's my pleasure. And good luck to you guys.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Tyler, I feel like we've hit the big time, man. We just talked to the founder of the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization, and he's pretty awesome. He's pretty damn awesome, guys. You guys out there listening, I know we took a little bit of video of this. The camera probably didn't last all the way through it, so the video won't be very long, but we'll put a teaser out there. And if you could see me and Tyler's faces right now, it's just grins ear to ear. We were just eating this up. We're like 2 fat kids in a candy store, and that's actually an odd coincidence because we are kind of 2 fat kids in a candy store if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're what would we say earlier? We're husky. We're husky.
Oh yeah. This was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, if you guys are in the Kentucky area and you guys can make it out, just go to Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization.com, and he'll have some links for his events on there. So yeah, definitely go out there, fucking sign up.
Absolutely.
This was awesome. I love this interview. I love talking to people that have encounters. But instead of this being just an encounter episode, this was more of a lesson for all you guys.
And us.
Yeah, and us.
And us, really.
We're just right there with them, with you guys. It was awesome. I love because we've been picking our brains about some of the things that we've talked about on this on these topics.
Yeah.
And we're just throwing it out there. We never really thought that anything could come of it, but I'm glad that we had somebody that's been doing this for over 30 years. Yep. And that's awesome to get his take on it.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to say, guys, before we wrap this up for tonight, we are actually sitting out here under the stars, if we can actually see any. It's a little cloudy. Got our campfire going. Got some red cedar on it, so it's smelling real nice. But for those of you guys that reached out and wanted to know how you can support this show, we have a PayPal link going to the same email we always use for everything, encounters@kyxfiles.com, and you can also send your encounters to that same address. So, like I said before, any kind of contribution, it's going to go straight to the show, and it is not necessary. You do not have to do that, and we're never going to make it out like you have to. But the other thing coming up, next show, we're going to be talking to a guy. I've known him for a long time. He is a huge UFO enthusiast, and he wants to get on here with us and sit around the fire and discuss the UFO disclosure documents that were released today.
Ooh.
Which is a pretty big deal. So he's pumped and ready, and we'll be excited to get into that subject with him. He's been following along the show for quite a while. And like I said, I've known him for a long time, so I'm ready to hear what he has to say. He actually went on vacation to a place where some pretty crazy paranormal stuff happened, and we're going to pick his brain about that one too. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Pick.
Oh, yeah. So you guys out there, stay safe and be good to each other. And, I earlier I touched on the subject that not every group who's into this is getting along with the other group. But look, man. Look how much stronger we'd all be if we worked together. I don't have the same view as our guest tonight. I think they do migrate. But you know what? He has evidence to back that they do not. And I'm okay with that. I'm willing to meet him halfway. I want to know.
I actually I know we're trying to wrap this up, but I wanted to kind of touch base, but we kind of truck through this because he had a lot of information. But
oh yeah,
when he was saying about the males would break off and go find a mate. I think that I want to say if they don't Louis? Migrate, once they mate, that's where they stay. They start.
Okay, you think? So, okay, I see what you're saying.
So when the male finally gets to, his. Manhood or Squatchhood.
Squatchhood, yeah.
He makes his journey to the high mountains to find himself a mate.
Le-hoo-hoo.
Come here, Letiz.
But yeah, you know what? Like I said, man, I'm willing. I
don't know why it's French.
I don't either. Maybe, do we know about French Sasquatches? I don't. I'm going to go looking now. I want to know. Is there something out there in France going le-hoo-hoo?
Le-hoo-hoo?
I don't know.
Sorry.
But, yeah, I'm willing to meet him halfway.
Yeah.
I want to know. I'm not an authority. I want to be proved wrong, so like I said, I can move on.
See, this is what we're talking about. We need to have this kind of dialogue. We don't need to bash somebody on the internet to get a point across saying that you don't believe what he's saying.
Right.
We don't have a science. We say this every episode. Don't have a science yet, but we're getting there. We're putting pieces together.
Absolutely.
And we're just trying to come together and give the best information that we can that's out there for you.
I think the one thing too that would help is if you're watching say you're watching or listening to a researcher that you don't agree with, instead of going online and spending the energy to hate on them a little bit or try to prove them wrong, just move on. Find something you're interested in. In the long run, put out more positive, The negativity is not going to help anything. But anyway, you guys be cool out there, and we will see you next time. What a hell of an episode 20, huh?
Yeah.
Episode 20, holy...
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the next 6 months... This was 6 months...
6 months,
yeah. We've been doing this for 6 months.
We had a rough start.
Yeah, we had a rough start, but we I feel like we knocked out those kinks, and we've been going strong, so can't wait to see what the next 6 months... And I hope everybody that's subscribed... to the YouTube channel, followed us on Spotify and anywhere you get your podcast.
Yeah.
I hope you stay with us.
And the Facebook page. There's a lot of folks on there now.
Yeah, that's been picking up a lot too. So I just hope that you guys stick with us. It's just going to get more crazier because we're going to get into different topics.
Hell, it looks like we're going to be going on an expedition and podcasting from the expedition. That sounds crazy.
I hope that pans out for both of us. Let's see if we can do it.
That almost seems too good to not go do.
I know.
You know what I mean? That's too tempting. But anyway, guys, while we sit here and drool over this idea, you guys have a good one, and you guys, we'll see you next time.
Later.